Oh, hello. I don't even know how you pronounce that. Oh, I see your comment. You're the only person in here with me. You're all that matters. And you hear me. Great. It will be preserved. Yeah, so you don't be too saucy. Why did I decide to start the podcast? That's a great question. I started the Reddit community back in 2020 for microdiscectomy, and I quickly noticed that the same question kept getting asked over and over again. Are there any success stories, and did I reherniate? And so I decided that I wanted to collect success stories and make a one-stop shop on YouTube for people to find success stories from a herniated disc and to see that they're not alone in feeling like they reherniated, because we all go through like this surge of pain, usually like 2 weeks post-surgery and 3 months post-surgery. So I just wanted to create the podcast to kind of be a source of hope and help for people, because that's what I wanted when I was hurt and recovering from my herniated disc. What has been most encouraging to me as I talk to others who have serious back problems? That is a good question. Uh, I would say I get a little bit of fulfillment maybe for being a help to people and just being able to calm them down when they are on the ledge emotionally, because there's a lot of emotions that come, especially after the surgery. PTSD, anxiety, just fear, and we all just focus and obsess over reherniation. And so I have gotten a lot of private messages from people from on TikTok and on YouTube, just thanking me so much for the videos I've made. So it's encouraging to me to know that I'm helping others calm down and get through this experience, that in 3 or 6 months, they can forget about me and move on with their life. Have I found that there are any common experiences with people who have had a major back injury before they get treatment? So before they get the surgery. I would say the most common thing is that people just feel stuck. The herniated disc pain makes everyone feel like they can never get back to living a normal life. And then there's this cloud that hangs over your head about what is the right treatment choice for myself, conservative or surgery. So it's something that we all have in common. Uh, but you're not stuck. It does get better. Whether surgery or conservative treatment, you can get back to normal living. What tips do I have for someone who is waiting for treatment? My first tip would be to take care of your mental health, not just your physical health. Uh, like I said, we can sometimes hyper focus on how we're feeling stuck in that moment. So if you're at home and you can't work, use look at this as an opportunity to learn something new or read a new genre of book or something to distract your mind, and don't let yourself wallow in the why is this happening to me. Also use it as a chance to reach out to other people who are maybe in need of encouragement. That'll help take your mind off of yourself, just to do anything to prevent the emotional spiral that comes with herniating a disc and this kind of pain. Um, I think that's my biggest tip is your mental health. It is an emotional challenge that people just aren't prepared for. I do have another tip for someone who's waiting for treatment. So when I got hurt, I threw my back out first in April and then herniated my disc in June, and I didn't get surgery until August. And then I didn't start physical therapy until I think it was October at this point. I don't quite remember. So from April until October, I didn't move a muscle. I went still. I didn't bend, lift, or twist. I was laying on the couch most of the time. And it turns out that that was the worst possible thing to do for my back. Movement is medicine. I wish I had known that. There are some helpful YouTube videos from Bob and Brad, physical therapist. If you look up 7 bed exercises to do after a laminectomy, they show you exercises you can do while you're laying in bed. And the reason it's so important is because I went still and I didn't move, my muscles went completely weak. I don't know if atrophy is the right word, but I went so still that by the time I started physical therapy, I was having to retrain my muscles how to fire in the right direction. They were resisting, they didn't want to move at all. And that just added to my pain and discomfort during my recovery. So don't go still. Make sure you're walking or doing these bed exercises to keep your muscles used to moving. And that will make recovery a little bit easier for you. What has been the hardest part of making my own podcast? Getting past me being on screen and talking to a camera. That's the hardest part. Um, Getting past the nerves of speaking to strangers. I have 2 doctors lined up. I'm gonna talk to them on February 23rd. I'm a nervous wreck that I'm gonna have to interview doctors, like, who am I? Just little old me. And finding people, sometimes I have a wealth of people that wanna do the interview with me, and then other times I'm, like, begging. I want different stories, like artificial disc, barricade patients, And then editing is takes me forever because I say a lot of ums and ahs and, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, wow." So I have to edit those out. So it'll take me days, sometimes a week, just to edit so the sound is good for the podcast. This is fun. I like answering your questions. Who does the voice of my introduction? He sounds very handsome. He actually is super handsome. He has such a great voice. He is my Rod, my husband, who came up with the podcast name Bed Back and Beyond, recorded the intro for me. Uh, so that's his voice that you hear doing the Bed Back and Beyond intro. He was such a help during my recovery. How long after discectomy your back stop hurting? After my surgery, it took me about 6 months to feel normal again. I had said earlier, I don't know if you heard this part, but when I got hurt, I uh, I went still. I stopped moving, and that made my back muscles get really weak. I don't know if atrophy is the right word, but I didn't do any kind of moving until physical therapy started, and that prolonged my recovery. So 6 months before I was pain free again. So if you're waiting for your surgery, I would say look up Bob and Brad 7 bed exercises to do after a laminectomy. Those will show you exercises you can do while you are just laying in bed waiting for surgery. Hi, hope you're staying warm. I am in my in my nice house, but it snowed again today. This is your 5th month with the herniated disc. Are you scheduled for surgery? Or is this 5 months after your surgery? It's 66 in Florida. No runny nose. That's so nice for you. You had your surgery on the 1st of October. Yeah, so you're still technically early. Sometimes it can take up to a year to fully recover from the microdiscectomy. How long was your disc herniated before you got the surgery? Quimbley, we are, I think, 46 today in Pennsylvania. Moving on up in the world. Did I worry about reherniating after my surgery? That was all I thought about after surgery. It was like my mind became hyper focused on reherniating every little twitch of pain, muscle spasm, any flare. I would get flares several times of sciatica, especially 2 weeks after surgery, and then I think it was 3 months again after surgery, I had a major flare, and of course, they would make me cry and had a panic attack because I thought I'd reherniated. I never did, but the pain came back several times. It has affected my leg, big toe. I feel weakness on my left leg. Yeah, that's pretty normal. Hopefully, you'll do physical therapy, and that can help regain some of the strength in your leg. There's someone who posted in the Microdiscectomy Reddit group some videos of his calf that had diminished in size because it had gotten weak. But then he did physical therapy, and he did a before and after a year of physical therapy and showed big improvement. And he got some muscle mass back in his calf. I'm sure at 5 months post, it feels like this is taking forever. Does periods affect or trigger pains like menstrual cycle? 100%, yes. And to this day, if I have really bad cramps, I can feel it in my scar. Weird. But yeah, on really bad cramp days, I will have a sciatic flare. Usually when my back gets rock hard, if I've had a tough day at work or the cramping is bad, my muscles will tighten up and it feels like I have 2 metal rods in my back, and that will cause a flare, but only usually till about a 3. Yeah, it's crazy, right? So lovely to add that to our recovery. I think that's my first time hearing about that. I didn't know it got that bad. Which part? Has your back injury changed anything about your normal life? I would say as of now, no. Initially, it took me a long time to get back into being willing to exercise. I was so scared to move. I wouldn't even turn left and right to look normal. I would just turn my whole body. But now I'm back to hiking. I'll camp if I want. And I would say the only thing that's affecting the camping is my age now is catching up with me. I've started work very light, few hours per day. I walk normally when I leave home, but by the time I get back home, you start limping. Yeah, most likely it's just your muscles aren't used to it yet. Will you be starting physical therapy? I would have hip pain when I walked too long and had to actually put myself back into physical therapy to help with that. You had surgery 2 days ago and still feeling leg pain. Said your nerve was pinched. Excuse me. Yeah. Some of us don't wake up pain-free, unfortunately. That does not mean that your surgery was a failure. Excuse me. I'm dealing with a cold, so a little scratchy throat. Oh yeah, menstrual cycle and scar pain. It's crazy. Don't be surprised, Alicia, if you get a flare at 2 weeks. That's pretty normal. Unfortunately, your surgeon did not give you physical therapy as you could walk after surgery and no stretching. Yeah, not every doctor recommends physical therapy. I don't know why. I don't know what the thinking was. I will say my physical therapist was a godsend as far as getting me past the mental block of being willing to move again. I was so scared. I didn't even wanna bend down to tie my shoes after the 6 weeks of no bending, lifting, or twisting, and the physical therapist would walk me through the flares that I would get. Walking is the best thing that you can do. Um, you said you were 5 months post-surgery, so you should be walking at minimum 30 minutes at a time, and I do have some walking videos, indoor walking videos on YouTube made specifically for the no bending, lifting, or twisting rules, and to help with different movements, like side steps and things, so that you can engage more muscle while you're walking. So if you haven't checked those out yet. You have degenerative in the same disc, yeah, which had herniated the disc, so you're scared. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. Do you think that you'd be a candidate for artificial disc replacement? If so, if you needed it? I think that's the route I would go. If I ever herniated again, I would look into artificial disc before fusion. That's just my personal opinion. The by 5 end of the 5th month, should I still not bend at all. 6 weeks is the normal, restrictions for no bending, lifting, or twisting. Now, I don't know, some doctors have started to say 3 weeks, and some have even started to say, "Just live your normal life, no extreme bending, lifting, or twisting." I think a lot of that depends on how big the tear in the disc itself is, but it takes about 6 weeks for the scar to form over the opening on your disc. So after 6 weeks, you should be able to twist and bend again. Sure, thanks for sharing, of course. Hi, medical info. Hi, everyone that's logging on. I am CK. I'm the moderator of the Reddit community. I had my microdiscectomy in 2019 and have been doing a podcast since I think 2023, just collecting success stories for people to find people they can relate to and hear encouraging stories of recovery. But I am not a doctor. So, did you change your diet at all when you were recovering? Did you cut certain things out? Honestly, I should have. I really wish I had known more about anti-inflammatory eating because unfortunately I became an emotional eater and ran to Dairy Queen so many times. I put lots of weight on. So my drug of choice is a Oreo cookie blizzard from Dairy Queen, and I would cry a lot into blizzards. But yeah, if anyone asks now, I would say try an anti-inflammatory or the Mediterranean diet. It's crazy the amount of inflammation sugar can cause, and alcohol and smoking can cause so much inflammation. These are all great questions so far. I had L2, L3, and L5, S1 disc bulge too, but my surgeon only focused on L4, L5, which was a broad disc bulge. So most likely your symptoms matched the L4, L5 herniated disc. Do we need any supplements after 6? I would say that's a question for your doctor. I've heard that focusing on protein is a great way to uh, help with recovery. We aren't going to be the same person anytime soon, unfortunately. It's going to take you some time to to get past this physically and emotionally. I remember feeling like I would never be the same person again. But I can tell you 6 years later, I am so thankful for the results of my surgery. I am so thankful I got the surgery. I feel like I can do whatever I want except for deadlifting. I don't think I'll ever deadlift again, but using weights, I do that stuff. Would you have any suggestions for those in warm weather versus cold? Did you have to keep it cooled, warm during certain recovery phases? That's not something I had focused on, but I have heard people saying doing cold plunges actually have helped reduce their inflammation. And I use like a really good heating pad that is, infrared that works amazing with loosening my back muscles up because when they get tight, they make my sciatic flare. Um, and if you're in cold weather and it's snowing, don't go out and shovel. I'm glad I had the surgery. Thank you for sharing. The much later, do you feel almost normal? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would say that I am like 95% pain-free. I get the occasional sciatica flare, which maybe goes up to a level 3 of pain, but it only lasts for 24 hours. I will heat my back, do some stretches, take some Advil, and the next day I'm fine. I've never had it carry over for multiple days. Like I said, I'm hiking, camping, exercising. I love to do like cardio dance routines and kickboxing and it's just so nice to be able to do that again. I rarely think about my back now. It was all I could think about for the first year after surgery. Also, I played a lot of Mario bowling. That's right. What did you do to stay busy during recovery to keep from being bored? Well, I found this Apple TV game called Crossy Road. I played that a lot. I was able to get a really high score to embarrass my husband, but he has beat me since then. I got into Korean K drama, watched some of those. Um, I started watching a lot of YouTube and I fell in love with tarantulas and what else? Tornado videos. If I could go back in time, I would like try and learn some Spanish or focus on doing something that's productive while I was recovering instead of waste. I feel like I may have wasted that time off. The problem with boredom is that we can sit in our own thoughts and focus on ourselves, and we forget to look outside ourselves, and that's what leads to some anxiety and emotional spiral thinking. It really is an emotional challenge, and I don't think people are prepared for that. A lot of people go into surgery thinking, "I'm gonna wake up from the surgery, be pain-free, and move on from life," and they don't really expect what recovery is going to be like. Lots of 2 steps forwards, 1 step back, pain flares, muscle spasms, pain on the opposite side can crop up, tailbone pain, calf pain, hamstring, like, there's all these weird things that happen to us while we're recovering from back surgery, and most of us aren't prepared for that, and it freaks us out. I am gonna, have a chance to interview endoscopic, surgeons on February 23rd, so I'm really excited to learn about endoscopic spine surgery versus microdiscectomy and how different the recovery process is since it's more minor than a microdiscectomy. Do we have any permanent solution for pain flare? I don't think so. I don't know. I only get them occasionally. There's a really good book I read. I wish I had read it before I had my surgery. It's called, oh god, the name just went out of my head. I recommend it all the time. Give me 1 second. I will find it for you. Maybe I'll find it. Here it is. Really good book, New Possibilities: Unraveling the Mystery and Mastering Chronic Pain by Dr. Alan Stephen Weiser. You can find that on Amazon. It really helped me understand the mindset that we go through when we're in pain. Like, why do we respond the way that we respond, and how can we overcome the emotional challenge? So, if you find yourself struggling emotionally, I would say pick that book up and give it a read. 3 months pain before the surgery. So far, 5 months after the surgery, a year of my life almost gone. Yeah, that's a long time to wait for surgery. I was only in pain for 2 months before I got the surgery. I was out of work and I wasn't getting paid. So I honestly didn't have a choice to wait the 8 months to see if it would heal on its own. I needed to get back to work. But I'm hopefully a year from now, you can look back and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe my surgery was a year ago." Because now I can say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe my surgery was 6 years ago." It was such a traumatic time in my life, and I felt like I would just never go anywhere. I would be stuck forever in this pain and recovery, and now it's 6 years ago. Oh gosh, and back to normal life. I had the surgery 4 months back, but sometime I'm feeling tightness in my back. Why, I don't know. Yeah, unfortunately, the back they have to cut your back muscles to get to the disc, and it takes the back muscles some time to recover. So Do your walking, of course, but if you're not doing physical therapy, look into it. They helped me. My back muscles had gotten so weak that they were misfiring in the wrong order, and it increased my pain. So they helped me get my muscles back to moving and being used again, and so move past that back stiffness that comes with the surgery. That can hang around. Uh, what was that Bahama? I know it feels like the year of your life is gone. It's so hard. You're allowed to grieve this life that you've lost but understand that it's a moment in time, and you will get past this. So don't let yourself dwell in the woe is me. Or look forward to what you'll be able to do. Focus on the small progressions that you make, the little victories, and just change your thinking to more positive. I have a video on my YouTube about the anxiety that comes with this injury, because I the anxiety and the PTSD was no joke. But now I can have a flare and not go into a panic thinking I'm about to reherniate. That took me a while to get past that fear. What about L5 belt? For how many days do we have to wear it after the surgery? Are you talking about the brace? That is usually up to your doctor. What was funny was my doctor told me don't use a brace, and then the physician assistant ordered me a brace. So I would wear the brace, especially the first 2 weeks, because the first 2 weeks after surgery, it felt like my muscles could not support my weight. But after that, I stopped wearing it. The problem with the braces is that you start to rely on that, and then you're not using your muscles. So um, yeah, don't rely on the brace too much post-surgery. I've lost some hamstring and calf and right leg volume, after suffering a massive herniation 1 year back. It's the worst, L5S1. I was L5S1 also. There's somebody in the Reddit community actually who, was able to show his calf muscle weakness, and he had lost his, volume in the calf muscle, and he's been doing physical therapy, and he just posted recently a year later, and he was able to show the regrowth of his muscle, the strength. He could stand on the toe again after a year, but he had to work on it. On my channel, I do have several interviews that I have done with people that are recovering from the microdiscectomy, and they talk about their experience. They talk about what their job is or what their hobbies. I have someone who is a disc golf player and also an airline mechanic. Airline mechanics, that's a lot of heavy lifting and bending and twisting, and he was able, after his surgery, to go back to playing disc golf and going back to his, airline mechanic job. They had a weightlifting restriction. If you couldn't lift a certain weight, you couldn't work there, so he was able to, use his physical therapist to come up with a plan to focus on getting him back to his airline mechanic job. That's a great interview on there. Someone who did dirt biking and is back to dirt biking. I have a marathon runner I spoke to. She was able to go back to running. And I have a couple people who recovered without surgery. Karate, somebody doing karate, another person does kettlebell. Yes, physio works, but I am constant transferable job, so never really settling makes it tough. Oh, you're moving around a lot. You know what? You can find physical therapists on YouTube. Bob and Brad is one. They have a lot of interviews for. Oh, thank you. You love my interviews. I'm glad you watch them. But Bob and Brad, they have a lot of videos showing you physical therapy moves that you can do at home. Uh, I don't know if you're doing any kind of weights with your exercises. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad you found my channel. Thank you. I appreciate you watching. It's what I wish I had when I was recovering from my injury. I just wish I knew how to get the word out. I'm very bad at SEO and the algorithm and all that stuff. And I'm bad at also just selling myself, marketing. I get embarrassed still a little bit about being on the camera. So if you want to share my videos to people, go right ahead. I appreciate you logging on and asking me questions. Just so you know, I was able to go back to my job, which is a lot of standing and bending over. I process skin cancer tumors in different labs at different dermatology offices. So I'm bending over, working on specimens, and then standing over a machine that freezes them, and then I have to stain them. So it's a lot of on my feet, but been back at it since my surgery. One is bound to find it if one is in that place where, yeah. Am I again into weightlifting? I'm gonna be completely honest, I am doing it when I'm not being lazy. I am such a terrible person when it comes to maintaining a, exercise routine. Now I do lead an exercise class once a week at my church for just women, but we're just doing a 45-minute indoor walking routine, and using some of, resistance bands. But I have a whole set of weights in my garage that I keep telling my husband, "Yeah, yeah, I'll get to it," but, sometimes I can be pretty lazy. But I do enjoy it when I do it. I do plan to go back to it. I love the cut muscles, so I wanna get back to that. Is it back to the same level of strength, especially when it comes to the legs? Yes. Mhm. Now, I would say I would never deadlift again. Um, that's just too scary for me, but, uh bicep curls, all that stuff, tricep, squats. Only regret is that you should have worked on your core more. Same here. I hear Pilates is an exercise routine that is recommended for especially strengthening your back. It not just focuses on your core, but it also focuses on the supporting muscles for your spine. So that's not just your core, that's also your glutes and your hamstrings. So you want to, your body is one as a whole. So you can't just focus on the core. You got to focus on all the other muscles so that it's all balanced. But you can still work on your core. You haven't sprinted in the last year, jogged, played any sports, or gone to the gym. Is that just because you're scared to? I would say if you get back into it. Ooh, six packs have started showing. Okay. Dive back into it, but don't be too aggressive. You want to get your muscles get used to doing the exercising and sports that you play again. We'll get the surgery next year probably. Why so far out? Next year, like in 2027? Okay. Is that personal choice or does that have to do with your healthcare? Job issues. Okay. Oh, okay. You're in the army. Are they the one that decide when you can get surgery, when you can't? If you get downgraded. Okay. Right. Affects your career. Yeah, that's tough. I can see why you're delaying. You're currently hiding it. Oh my goodness. Can I ask what is your, role in the Army? I couldn't hide mine. I was on the floor screaming. When I herniated at my desk, it was in the morning. "Oh, you're a doctor. Oh, hello." I herniated my disc in the morning rolling to get out of the bed, and it took my husband 2 hours to get me from the bedroom to the living room, which was on the same floor. You're an Army doctor. Surgeon? Oh, okay. Man, you work so hard for that position, I can see. Mm. Well, you should know as a doctor, though, that, you know, you don't wanna delay your herniation too long. You don't wanna cause permanent damage to the nerves, right? Okay, you haven't done your specialization yet. Alright. I have a friend who's an Army doctor. He just got, where did he just get posted? El Paso, I think. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine working so hard for the position as a doctor and then this coming up and, oh my goodness, the idea of your career being affected. I had the fortunate case that my position as a Mohs histotech, I do the, skin cancer, uh, processing in the labs. It's very hard to find histotechs in our area. So when I went out, my doctor that I work with, he had to cancel patients for a week, and then he had temps that he found, but he was waiting for me to come back to work, so my job was safe. That's what you hope. Mhm. Go to 17,000 feet altitudes. Does that make a difference in the pain? Yes, it does. Okay. Cold exacerbates it. Somebody was asking me about that earlier, if warm weather or cold weather was better. I've heard people saying doing cold plunges help with the inflammation to bring it down, but, yeah, I imagine the cold weather makes it worse, just like arthritis and all the other things. We should all just move to Florida when we're injured, get in that warm weather. Mhm. Muscle tightness increases in the cold. I did have to do a little bit of snow shoveling 2 weeks ago, and that annoyed my back a little bit. I had to rest. The lighting is really good. That's just coming from my windows. Oh, yes. I have worked with my, surgeon for 20 years now. So he did screw me over a little bit. He hired temps for 6 months, so I had to wait the full 6 months before I could go back to work, but that really helped me focus on my muscle strength before I went back. And of course, he knew I was unpaid, so he had offered to help with bills if I needed anything, which we were good, but I appreciated his offer of financial help. He's a good guy, my boss. I helped him grow his practice too, I think, so I think that helped too with him being sympathetic. So this is my first time ever doing a live. As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking maybe I should have had some talking points just to be filling the time, but I hope you've enjoyed it. The only issue from your interviews that I found is that a common person can't get MRI done without referral from GP and the waiting for surgery. Yes. Or the surgeon. I Who ordered my MRI? So I went to the emergency room the day of my big herniation in the US, I'm talking. I went to the emergency room the day of. They just gave me a pain shot, probably some kind of opioid, and sent me home with 3 days of steroid and told me to go see a back pain specialist. So that took me 2 months, not 2 months, 2 weeks to go see the back pain specialist, and the pain specialist is the one who ordered the MRI. So the ER didn't do the MRI. I had to wait for the back pain specialist. Got the MRI, went back to the back pain specialist. He didn't like surgeries, so he sent me to his cortisone injection partner. So I did one of those, and then that didn't help. So I did not have health insurance when I had the hi, Sydney, Australia, 5 AM. Oh my goodness. Have you had your coffee yet? Yeah, so I did not have health insurance when I herniated my disc. I had something called a health share. So I had to tell the doctor and tell the MRI place I didn't have health insurance. Could I pay a self pay rate? So my MRI only cost me $800 only. Uh, the surgery and everything like that was $15,000, but I did get help with that share program. And my surgery, was longer than it was supposed to be, so it was only supposed to be an hour and a half, and it ended up being 3 hours. So the anesthesiologist charged double and the surgeon charged double, so that's why I think it was $15,000 for my surgery. And when I got the cortisone injection, I had to ask for a self-pay rate, and the first time they gave it to me, it was $700. They wanted to do a second one, and they wanted $1,400 for the second one, but I had decided I didn't like the way the cortisone injection made me feel. It also made my ankle swell, and the pain came back within 2 weeks of my first cortisone injection, and that's when I decided, let me consult with a, neurosurgeon. Doctors milking you're a doctor. People for money. I honestly, I was thankful that they gave me that, first self-pay rate of $700 for the cortisone. Um, my surgery was meant to happen 2 weeks ago. Oh, no, got postponed the day before. Why? Still waiting for a new date, Been on the waiting list for 3 months. I'm overusing painkillers just to survive day to day. I'm so sorry it got postponed. Why did they postpone your surgery? Is Australia, universal healthcare? Is that why you're, like, on a waiting list, or is that just because the specialist is so they didn't have a bed for you? Oh, my goodness. Was it in and out, or are they trying to keep you overnight for your surgery? Yeah, cortisone only useful in large herniations in really acute case from what you've seen. Mhm. And I've heard, I don't know, maybe you can tell me this is true, that cortisone injections have a limited return, so you can only get so many in your lifetime before they stop working. Is that true? I was 40 when I got the first one, and I just thought I didn't want to use up my cortisone while I was still young. Universal health care, so it's all free overnight stay. Okay. Yeah, so I'm in the US. So, I was saying earlier, I didn't have at that time, I didn't have health insurance. I had, like, this health share thing, which is kinda like a multi-level marketing scheme for insurance, but, I was able to get surgery within 2 months of my herniation. Could you go the private route, Josh, if you wanted to get it sooner? Will help when there's a huge inflammation causing impingement. Yes, okay. Not that you wanna go the private route if you don't mind waiting to keep the freeness of it. My herniation, Josh, was so bad that I couldn't work and I was unpaid. So, even though I would be paying for the procedure, I didn't wanna lose that income. So, it was like, you know, get it free, which I couldn't obviously, or go back to work as soon as possible. You had a microdiscectomy surgery 6 days ago and you feel great. Awesome. You're right about the mental part before surgery. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. But also this recovery can be mentally challenging too. So 6 days ago, you're feeling great. I'm so glad to hear that. Don't be surprised though in if in 2 weeks from your surgery you start to get a pain flare. A lot of people aren't ready for that and it scares the heck out of them. So post-surgery inflammation can rear its head like 2 weeks after surgery and cause a sciatica flare. And when mine happened, I called the doctor. He just gave me a steroid and that took that pain away, but I was not prepared for it. And of course, I was convinced I had reherniated. And it's a story I hear over and over again. That at 2 weeks, people are like, oh my God, what's this pain? Something. So if someone does something that again increases the inflammation should help. Okay. Here, MRI is about $27, so I can get every 3 months in monitoring. Okay. I'm glad my job is computer based and work from home half the time, so can go sit on the couch when I need to take a break. That's good. Endoscopic discectomy is about $1,000. Okay. I'm about to interview endoscopic surgeons on the 23rd, I think it is. So I'd love to hear the difference in how recovery feels with microdiscectomy versus endoscopic. Don't sit too much though, Josh. Make sure you're walking like you're supposed to. I'd love to get someone on here that is, "Oh, your surgeon is endoscopic, Josh." Okay. You might have a better experience than a lot of us did. I'm actually, interested to hear how your recovery goes because, yes, it's more minimal surgery, about point 0.5 centimeter scar. Yeah, and there's not as much muscle involvement in that surgery. That's what I do plan on asking the endoscopic if they, because I think they both end up with the same result, right? In the end, you don't have sciatic pain anymore, but I'm really interested to hear the difference in the recovery process. Less downtime, and less post-op pain. Yeah, because the post-op pain and inflammation with the microdiscectomy, like I've said it over and over again, like I was not prepared for it, and it just, threw me for a loop emotionally, all the weird symptoms and pains and things I wasn't prepared for. Josh, did you just accidentally end up with an endoscopic surgeon, or did you make it a point to find someone who does endoscopic procedures? He's a surgeon that works publicly and private, so I paid to have the consult, but then went on the public wait list. I'm happy to have either. I just want it done. I don't blame you. Yeah. I think you'll have a much easier, recovery with endoscopic. So, good choice. The "I just want it done" mentality is how I got surgery within 2 months. Um, the pain was so intense, I couldn't imagine trying to wait 8 months to see if it went away on its own, you know? There are people who decide to do that, more power to them, but, yeah, I just wanted to be out of the pain, and, I was in so much pain, I went with the doctor who could see me first. Not the best way to pick a doctor, I know, but whoever could see me first and get me in, that's how I picked him. And then I had a little bit of a complication, I guess you could say. My herniated disc turned out to be glued to the dura that surrounds the nerves with scar tissue. So when they went in to remove the herniated disc, they had to leave a chunk of it stuck to my nerves. And that, of course, caused a tear in the dura while they were trying to remove it. So again, that's why it took 3 hours instead of an hour and a half. And they did a laminectomy as well. They removed some bone. So because it was stuck to my nerve, they wanted to make sure I had freedom of movement. So they did the laminectomy as well. But then I had to stay in the hospital for 3 nights flat on my back while the tear in the dura scarred over. You had success with your first cortisone steroid, but second didn't help at all. Okay. Yeah. I had like 2 weeks success and then the pain came back. So even with the herniated disc material stuck to my spinal cord like a chunk that it is, again, I'm pain-free 95% of the time. Only when I get the occasional flare does it bother me, and it's never more than a 3. Ran a marathon, lots of painkillers, might have done more damage. Good for you for, running a marathon. That's something I have never been interested in doing. I did track and field in high school, but only the, dashes and relay races, never long distance. Your herniation wasn't that much. Guess it impinged wrong nerve. Not sure what you mean. It was enough to send me to the floor in pain. I don't remember, being told how many millimeters it had herniated out. L5S1 is the location and nerve. Well, everyone, this has gone over an hour, and I really appreciate you logging on. Yeah, even sort of tricky, even when small ones can completely incapacitate. Yeah. I can't get over the some of the large herniations I see, and people wait. Oh my gosh, some people look like they have a baseball. Hi, Angie. I was getting ready to log out, but if you have any questions for me, how you doing? It's good to see you. I did not have any of the, red flag symptoms, like the bladder control issues or anything like that. And you have 20% disc height remaining. Okay. I don't know that for myself either. They didn't say anything to me about being concerned about my disc height. Yes, Josh, I will be posting this on YouTube so you can see the first part. Thank you for logging in. I really appreciate you coming on and saying hello, and I'll be thinking about you. Let me know how your surgery goes. Put the image in ChatGPT. Oh, yeah, I could do that. I only have the one still that I took from the MRI, but yeah, I could do that. See what ChatGPT says. You just saw I was on live. Yeah, well, thanks for coming over. This is my first time doing a live, and I've got like 7 people in the chat room, which is more than I expected. Ah, my husband was on in the beginning asking me some insightful questions. How are you feeling, Angie? Thank you. Yeah, more disc left, lesser the mechanical back pain. Afterwards, yeah. You're feeling dry? Do you not have all the snow outside? Oh, okay. Is that helping? Dry needling for the scar tissue. Did you have some keloiding happening? Do I remember that? I've never heard get shortwave diathermy? What is that? And stretch hip flexors. All of this happened after our interview. Oh, no. Physio. Yes, I actually had a physical therapist on an early interview, and he talked about, infrared treatments that they use. Your scar tissue is sticking to itself. Oh, is that irritating your nerves then? Yeah, I actually have a heating pad that is a far infrared heating pad, and I don't know if it's mental, but it works really, really well when I have a stiff back. I might get a stiff back after this because 'cause I'm just sitting on the floor. All right, everyone, this has gone over an hour, so I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you so much for logging on. Angie, hope the tightness in your neck goes away soon. And I'm sure I can understand it straining your low back and your shoulder. I'll be praying for you. Lord knows he can heal. We all know the Lord can heal. Thank you again for logging on. I'm so glad you're doing well. I'll post this on YouTube so you can watch the beginning if you missed the beginning. And hopefully I'll do another one and polish it up and be a little better next time. But thank you all for logging on. Head over to Bed Back Beyond on YouTube to find encouraging stories of recovery from herniated disc. Bye-bye.